Welcome to another instant reaction on what was 3 hours of absolute dreck. Baker Mayfield, television star, big-time personality, saved the broadcast, saved a night of dreary football. My takeaway was I was absolutely rooting for Baker Mayfield to drive it 98 yards for a winning touchdown. I'm in the story business. It's a great story. And, you know, everybody knows my history with Baker Mayfield. I think that's honestly the most impressive win of his career, and I'm dead serious. He won a playoff game. Go back and look at that Cleveland roster. The O-line was like number 2 in the league. Nick Chubb, David Njoku, good receivers, Myles Garrett. That was a really, really good roster. And they beat kind of a old Big Ben, kind of a wobbly Steeler team. This was impressive. Ben Skoranek was his go-to receiver tonight. A second-year pro who was 4th or 5th on the depth chart. Missing multiple offensive linemen. That's impressive. To walk into a city, new playbook, new coach, new system, new teammates. I mean, nobody really knows Baker. Fist bumped a few guys. I mean, Kirk Herbstreit said, I've been in town. He goes, I got here Tuesday for a speaking engagement. I've been in town longer than Baker Mayfield. To walk in and kind of, you could tell throughout the course of the game, Baker Mayfield was just getting the information from Sean McVay and instantly relaying it to his team. And I imagine as Baker moved to the line of scrimmage, McVay was telling him kind of what the play was going to precisely look like. Raiders had, because of Max Crosby, a decent pass rush. It's not a great defense. But that loss, even by Raiders standards, worst of the year for them. They're now probably on the outside looking in for the playoffs because they end the year with the Niners and the Chiefs. So they really, really needed this win. But that was really impressive by Baker Mayfield. And the other thing is what makes sports is the stories. I mean, everybody loves their home team and everybody dislikes the rival to the home team. But the reason we watch games beyond our favorite team or the team we grew up with is the drama, the chance for upsets. The Raiders were hot. The Raiders were healthier. The fact the Raiders could not pick up a first down on 3rd and 1, you don't deserve to be a playoff team. You don't deserve to win that game. But what made tonight special for Baker is it was a great story. A lot of his faults and problems are his. I mean, let's be honest. He couldn't step to the podium for his weekly press conference in Cleveland without pissing somebody off, right? Like, he just wasn't quite ready to be the face of a franchise. He had more commercials than touchdown passes, seemingly. He didn't have great judgment. It was my knock coming out of college. And in the end, he just ticked off too many people. Andrew Berry, the coach, teammates, and it unraveled. And then he goes to, Carolina, and, they want to see Sam Darnold play. But you had to root for Baker Mayfield tonight. Come on. I mean, the reason we watch this stuff is upsets and drama and stories outside of our favorite teams we grew up with. That was a great story. And not only was it a great story, because of the multiple holding calls on the Rams tonight, Baker was 22 of 35, 230 yards, a touchdown, no interception. I'm not exactly sure. He had at least 2, but I think 3 other really nice completions that were negated due to holding calls. And Baker's always thrown a pretty good ball when he can set his feet, clean pocket. That's never been his problem. He gets a little squirrely sometimes when he's moving, or he rushes things, his judgment. But if he can set and throw, he was a number 1 pick for a reason. Set and throw, let it rip. He can be accurate. But, there's sometimes, is this ever true for you, that sometimes the more I get into golf, I start taking lessons or I start playing more, my golf gets worse. I'm overthinking. And then I'll take 6 months off. I'll go golf for the first time in the summer. It happened this year in Rhode Island. I played the best round of golf I've played in 4 years. I just went out and played. I didn't overthink it. Baker was playing tonight on adrenaline, a little anxiety, a lot of nerves. Didn't overthink it. McVay said, here's the play, relay it, step back and let it rip. And it's impressive. I'm serious. That's about as impressive a moment that Baker Mayfield's had. I mean, listen, we all know the playoff win in Cleveland for people in Ohio is going to go down as a very memorable day. That was a really good team. That was a really good O-line. That was a really good roster. This Ram offense is, Baker Mayfield made the Rams watchable. We saw this a couple nights ago. I was thinking about this with Brady. Struggled. And then his last 2 drives. The defense goes into a little prevent. The defense is on the field. You start giving up, 7, 10, 12 yards. Defense on the field. End of a game. Defense gets tired. Suddenly the defense, the Saints against Brady, the Raiders against Baker gets a little more vulnerable, a little more gassed. You're asking these big guys to be on the field those last 2 drives after 3.5 hours. Brady and Baker Mayfield. When's the last time they were mentioned in the same sentence? But you had to root for Baker tonight. That was fun. It really was a lot like that Buccaneers Saints game with Brady. Just dreck until the final 2 drives. It really was. I think from this point forward, anytime you mention Baker, you should also simultaneously mention Tom Brady. That's the new rule in broadcasting. Tom Brady, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady. Way to go, Baker. We live in the same hometown now. Could invite him on the volume. Be an excellent guest. Not sure he'd accept it. He's going to be busy actually learning the playbook. Isn't that amazing? Think about, speaking of Brady, when Brady moved to Tampa, he literally held secret practices that were taped by a helicopter, 10, frantically trying to learn the playbook with a loaded roster. And 12 games in, all those practices, Brady was 7-5. The protection was bad. He was screaming at teammates. Baker Mayfield is in town with a bad roster. He doesn't know. He can't spell Ben Skoranek. His best receiver, he doesn't know where he went to college. He's never seen him play. They've probably never run, they've never run in-game routes, obviously. And Baker Mayfield was pretty accurate tonight. When he had reasonable time to throw, he's pretty accurate. Again, not overthinking, playing on nerves. It was fun. The last 10 minutes were fun. And Raider fans, I've supported you all year. You earned that L. You absolutely earned every inch of that L. That was bad. And I've been on the Raiders bandwagon all year. That was awful. That was just awful. Tip of the cap to Baker Mayfield. This has been our instant reaction. I'll be on FS1 tomorrow. iHeartRadio. I may not sleep tonight. Baker, touchdown maker. Talk soon.